Crisis on Infinite Earths news came in. Tom Welling reprising his role as Superman, from Clark Kent Superman from Smallville. I saw this and I was just like, someone listened to the show, how I talked about how I was so annoyed with the ending of Smallville. Hopefully they bring in Gotham for that show. Give us where these characters are at. I love that they did this. One thing I would love to see, I can't wait to see Burt Ward in the show. I can't wait to see the Adam West tribute. I'm going to have a box of Kleenexes so I don't cry. Like I did when I watched the Family Guy episode where they paid tribute to Adam West. I think that, they should do a comic book series of each show. Like, I know they did Smallville, which wasn't bad. It was very confusing. Like, I will say this, it was very confusing of it. And it was very confusing how they did the show, like how they did the comics compared to the show and stuff. I'll tell you one thing about Smallville. Sorry, I'm just checking out something what the news is. So anyway, sorry. Now it's working. The way they did the show in the comics, like the comics was like they started from like picking up after season 10 with season 11, and all of a sudden like a jump to Clark Kent being a Green Lantern and stuff. I was just like, wait, what the fuck are they doing? But they did Batman and the show. I mean, they reference him. Then they did the comic, and Robin's a female character. And Batman, like the look of Batman was so different. It was kind of like a mixture of Batman Beyond and regular Batman, where he has like a full mask, and except he has like a mouth cover to hide his his mouth and stuff. It was so cool looking, but at the same time it was just like they sort of like I think they did it. The reason that they did it was they didn't know who was going to play Batman in the show. If they ever had the chance of like, we're bringing Bruce Wayne into the show, Batman, you wouldn't know who would play him. But I always thought like Jared Padalecki, who played Sam in Supernatural, would play Batman. I always thought they couldn't get Jensen Ackles to play Bruce Wayne Batman because he was in Smallville and he ended up getting killed and being crushed by a meteor. That was a way of like, we ain't bringing back this guy. Because he left to do Supernatural. And my favorite episode of Supernatural is the one where they're at the studio backlot investigating a ghost. And I love the reference of them mentioning Gilmore Girls because Sam, the actor who played Sam, Jared Padalecki, was on Gilmore Girls. I just thought like that was fucking hilarious, and Dean's reaction to it. But they did mention the at the end of it when they jump off of it, of the set of Lois and Clark. I was just like, they mentioned it. It was supposed to be like Warner Brothers Studios, but they filmed it in Canada, and Warner Brothers Studios is in Burbank, California. So I love that episode. So if you ever watch that episode, it's my favorite episode. I still to this day get a kick out of that. Negan's their dad. And it's funny though, he played the comedian, he played Negan, and he played Thomas Wayne, which means somewhere on Earth, Bruce Wayne is siblings with Sam and Dean. That is funny though. I have to mention that one. Let's see, but what else is there? Yeah, anyway, I was talking about, I always thought, Jared Padalecki would play, Batman. But the funny thing about it was, he was actually going to play Superman. And Superman Flyby, which was going to be directed by McG. Jared Padalecki was considered for that part. But when McG dropped out of it because McG didn't want to film it in Australia, because he has a phobia of flying. Fear of flying. Who doesn't? Jared Padalecki wasn't considered for it. Instead, it went to Brandon Routh. But the fun fact of it is, Jensen Ackles was considered... He was one of the final two next to Tom Welling to play Clark Kent in Smallville. So picture it. Somewhere on another Earth, Jensen Ackles is Superman. Isn't that a fascinating one? So, the Smallville one, I remember reading the comic. I ended up giving it to my uncle because I was like, I lost interest in this one. I like the Batman story. It wasn't bad. It was, you could tell the writer of the issues, who was, I think, one of the writers on the show, was really a big Batman fan, and he was just like, if I could write an episode with Batman in it, I would go all out. They duke it out, they go at it, then they become friends. That's how it goes. I really liked it. I really loved the enthusiasm of the writing in it. I thought that it was brilliant. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it was just... The fight scenes was you could tell the guy who wrote it loved Batman Hush, where Batman just clocks Superman in the face. That was brilliant. And I think it's a good issue. I think if I think someone posted the good parts of it, so on Google, so check it out. Sorry, I'm reading a question on Twitter. I did see that film. Someone who listens to the show recommend checking out The Crow Wicked Prayer on... Check it out, to watch The Crow Wicked Prayer. So I ended up looking for the movie. Like any fool. I sat through this film, and I hate this movie. I love The Crow. I love the original Crow. And even though it was going to be remade, and Jason Momoa, who played Aquaman, was going to play the Crow. Eric Draven. And I watched the film, The Crow Wicked Prayer. It is one of the worst fucking movies I have ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of bad fucking movies. Flintstones, Viva Rock Vegas, bad. I don't know who the fuck came up with that idea of like doing a sequel to the Flintstones. But I watched this film. It is awful. I wanted to pick up my TV and throw it out the window. Bad. I sat through this film. This film's over an hour. I lost an hour of my life. Because someone was like, you have to see this film. Everything in this film is bad. Everything in this film is bad. I felt sorry for David Boreanaz, who played Angel in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and in the spin-off Angel show. He was in Bones. I watched one season of it and I was just like, this is boring. This poor guy is in this film. He has the expression throughout this film of like, why am I in this fucking film? Who talked me into it? So in this film, Edward Furlong, who was in Terminator, plays Jimmy Curio the Crow. The whole casting in this film is just wrong. You have Tara Reid, who, well, she's Tara Reid. What do you expect? They are in this film. The script is bad. It has 3 writers. So it has to take 3 writers to figure out how to write a fucking film. Danny Trejo's in this film. Why is Danny Trejo in this film? What did you do to this poor guy? Did you blackmail him? And why is he playing a Native American? He's Mexican. It's racist. So in this film, you have Tito Ortiz, who plays Famine. You have Marcus Chung, plays War. You have one guy who plays, I don't know what the fuck he plays. And David Boreanaz is Death, who becomes, who's basically, he leads a group with Tara Reid, who's his girlfriend. They lead a Satanist group. They kill Edward Furlong's girlfriend, sacrifices her, so David Boreanaz can have power and be unkillable. And Jimmy, the character Furlong plays, comes back as the Crow. And this movie is so fucking dumb. It is so dumb. I don't know why this film was made. So they go battle they go at it. He comes back from the dead. They pretty much put a lot of this film investing in these characters, and you just don't care about these characters. You just want this film to be over. So I sat through this film. Hold on, my phone's ringing. I'll be right back. Aw.